Hello, explorers, and welcome to Q&A episode number 24 of Unbroken podcast. I'm your host, Alexandra Amore. And today I wanted to talk about the power of presence. I was listening, as I mentioned, I think on the previous episode, Q&A episode number 23, I was listening to a conversation with Dr. Bill Pettit the other day, and one of the things he mentioned that has really stuck with me and I've been contemplating ever since is presence, just being present, both with ourselves and with other people. And it's something that I try to practice quite often. I've, what would I say, been challenged with a lot of feelings of urgency in my life and tend to feel quite sped up. And that really comes about, I notice with myself in conversations with other people, that I tend to sort of step on their heels. You know, when somebody hasn't quite finished saying what they need to say, I try to jump in and am can be, a little more focused on what I have to say rather than what the other person is saying. And yet, when I'm recording a podcast episode that's an interview, and when I'm working with coaching clients, one of my favorite things to do is to really drop into that space of presence. And I'm trying also to practice that, in all other areas of my life as well. Some success and, sometimes not, but that's okay. I'm learning. And so when Dr. Pettit mentioned this, brought this subject up about presence the other day, somehow it occurred to me that it might be useful to be present with the depression that I was experiencing at that time. Luckily, it's resolved itself for the moment. And so I wanted to share what I experimented with you, with the aim of always of pointing you back toward your innate well-being and easing your suffering. So this is an exercise I think we could do with anything that's going on. We can practice it with other people, but with ourselves, what I'm practicing is being very present with whatever's going on with me in the moment. And so I'll explain that now. So here's where we can begin. Imagine that you have a friend who, and maybe you do have a friend like this, who when you're sharing something that's a challenge for you, maybe you're upset about something or something upsetting has happened, that kind of thing. I want you to imagine the type of person who is able to just sit with you while you share what's going on and what that feels like for you. Now, our culture tends to be so focused on fixing things and making our experiences go away that this kind of presence can be a bit rare. So if you don't have anybody in your life like that, I just want you to imagine someone sort of imaginary who could do that with you, who could just sit with you and be very present to whatever it is you need to share or need to say. And it could be a fictional character. Yeah, I was sort of thinking of someone like Mary Poppins or someone like that. It could be a character from a film who you found very sympathetic, a character from a book, anyone like that who you just imagine has the ability to be very present with you when you're sharing something that's a challenge for you. And I'd love for you just for a minute to sit in what that feels like. I know that for me, when I've been with someone who listens, who can be present with me in that way, it's such a good feeling. There's really, for me, there's just nothing else like it. And the person is not being with me and listening in order to change me or in order to argue with what I have to say or in order to point out where I'm wrong or, like I said, try to help, try to change my mind about whatever it is I'm experiencing. They're just there with me in it. And that lack of expectation for change or resolution, even to whatever the issue is such a peaceful, beautiful place to be. So if you can feel that in your body for a moment, what that feels like. And whenever I drop into that space, I feel my shoulders, drop down and my solar plexus unclenches a little bit. And I love the feeling. It just feels really great. So now, this is the second part of this little exercise. If you're struggling with something, so if you're struggling with an overeating habit and the cravings that come along with that, or if you're struggling with a low mood or depression like I have been recently, I invite you to take a moment today, even just 2 or 3 moments, and be present with that feeling in the same sort of way. So without having to change it, let's say it's a craving. Being there with that feeling without having to change it, without having to make it go away, without having to fix it, without feeling like it's a part of you that's a problem that needs a solution. Just being there with that feeling, dropping into a real presence with the feeling, and really that's it. I'm not looking for any outcome. When you do this little exercise, I'm not saying that things will shift or change for you at all. But I think what I've noticed is that in so much of life, we, especially those of us who are seekers and who are trying to improve ourselves and learn more about ourselves, and maybe, yes, fix some challenges that we have in our lives, like an overeating habit. We can, and I know I should speak for myself personally, I can spend so much time trying to change myself, trying to change these things about myself and make them go away. So there's this resistance going on inside me to my experience almost all the time. And that's what I've been noticing. And so that's what brought me to think, well, what if I was just present with this feeling without any expectation of, like I said, making it go away or fixing it or changing it or understanding more about it. I just really try to let all those expectations drop away. And again, like I say, you don't have to do this for an hour or anything, but just for a couple of minutes, see what it feels like to be completely present with that feeling that's challenging you in the moment. And I was just going to tell you what that experience has been like for me. But you know what? I would love to hear, if you give this a try, what that experience is like for you. What happens when you drop into that space of presence with a feeling or with an experience? So if you'd like to share, you can do that. You can email me, support@alexandraamor.com, or if you go to the corresponding blog post for this podcast episode, you can submit a comment there as well. So this is Q&A episode 23, and you'll find, Q&A episode 24, and you'll find the list of episodes at unbrokenpodcast.com. And so then if you click on Q&A number 24, that will take you to the page where you can leave a comment. So I look forward to hearing from you, and I hope this little exercise maybe brings you some peace. Maybe you discover something interesting about yourself or about a feeling or an experience that you've been having. So until next time, please take care. I will talk to you soon. Bye bye.